Well, hellos, everybody. How are you doing today? Thank God it's Friday. Yes, I am a couple of minutes late. Unfortunately, I don't know why. YouTube did not want to stream the feed, but it is up and working now. I don't know what was going on, but I had to stop it and restart it a couple of times. Not a fun thing to go through, but in any case, it is Friday. Let's just have fun with it. We are in October. Many of you out there are celebrating Oktoberfest. Some of you, not so much. Some of you are getting ready for Halloween, including my neighbors that have their pumpkins out already. Imagine that. So it's pumpkin mayhem, and on the theme of Halloween, I decided to start this week a top 200 of the best horror movies out there. Obviously, 200. I know maybe 20, 25 of them. So I'm just going down through the list pretty quickly and just mentioning, well, I'm mentioning them all, but I'm really stopping on those that I know. So, without further ado, yesterday we were approaching on number 154. That is a super classic. And I mean a super classic. 10 years after, not even 10 years, well, yeah, maybe 10 years after this movie, the special effects from this movie were appearing in other movies. And you'll see what I mean here when I get to the title. At number 154, strangely enough, from 1954. So, yeah, this is a movie in the black and white era called Creature from the Black Lagoon. Yeah. Man, that was one of my favorites when I was a kid. I really liked it. I liked a creature that could swim. I could not really swim good myself, but I was kind of hoping I would turn into a creature that can swim like the creature from the Black Lagoon. And the costume used for that played in many other sci-fi series since then. I don't know who came up with that costume, but he did a really good job because it was used so often afterwards. Really, really nice costume, really nice everything. I really liked the story. Every time people would get on the boat, oh no, oh no. But it was a fun little movie. It never really scared me as a kid, this one. Just because black and white, I was disconnected. I grew up having like two television sets in the house. One was colored, the other one was black and white. So when I got to watch stuff on the on the color TV, but things were in black and white, I mean, nah, not so good. But yeah, this costume from the creatures from the Black Lagoon even made an appearance a couple of times in what is it called, Doctor Who, back in the day. So yeah, it's something that stick with me because every time there was a sci-fi series using the costume to represent an alien of some sorts on other shows, I'm like, hey, that's the creature from the Black Lagoon. So it's a movie that I remember that I saw that I enjoyed. I cannot say it was scary for me at a time, even as a child, but in any case, there we go. Okay, another movie at 153 that people used to know. I mean, people from my generation really know this movie. A lot of them liked it. Tremors, 1990. I'm surprised it's 1990. It feels more like a 1985 movie. But yeah, 1990. And Kevin Bacon is in it. Yeah. Another fright movie because he was also in Friday the 13th. But in any case, it was kind of really. Tremors wasn't a kind of movie that made me scared, but I do remember it because uh, it was a movie that you can watch, be entertained, and take lightly. It was, even back in the day, it was a throwback to the old kind of horror and humor mixed in together. Because already by 1990, things like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th were, you know, over the top, over everything, and people were over them. But it was a good movie back to the classic ways of making horror movies. Not a favorite, but a very popular movie nonetheless. Then we go to number 152, which I do not know. 2014's movie called Creep. So I'm guessing there's a creep in the movie? Creepy people? Creeps? Don't know it. Then at 151. Now this movie, a lot of people talked about it back in the day. Although I have to admit, I have not seen this movie. Carnival of Souls, 1962. And the date probably has something to do with it. Although I did see, you know, Creature from the Black Lagoon, but Carnival of Souls, uh, I remember the adults talking about how scared that movie made them, but me personally, I never actually watched it. Like I say, horrors were never my genre, and if I happened to watch them, it's because we were kind of forced into it, because back in the day on cable network, we had like three or four or five channels. So if you weren't into sports, if you weren't into news, if you weren't into soap operas and drama, you didn't have many much choices back in the day. Okay, on to number 150. REC, Record. From 2007. Never heard of it, don't know what it does, doesn't know what it eats. Never heard of it. Although it's got a great score of 90%, so hey, it might actually be good. Who knows? At number 149, now this is another movie a lot of people talked about back in 2007, Paranormal Activity. I did see it. It seemed to be a very low budget effect and mockery. I did not enjoy it, but I did see it. I don't know why it has such a high score of 83%. Maybe I need to do this kind of movie. And just have it. I don't know. I did see it. I didn't enjoy it. I did not have much to do back in 2007. I think I saw it maybe in 2008, but even maybe 2010. I didn't see it when it came out, obviously, but I did see it afterwards. Ooh, okay. Now we are getting to number 148. Now, the people know this one as well from 2016, The Conjuring 2. Uh, I guess people are more aware of The Conjuring, the first one, which is, I'm guessing, higher up in the list. but I did not see this movie, but I've heard of it. People did enjoy it, so maybe you can let me know in the comments if it is worth mentioning, watching, seeing. Okay, now let's go on to the next one, which the name rings a bell, but I have not seen it, but it's got a really good score of 90% as well. At number 147, Ginger Snaps from the year 2000. Don't know the actors, don't know nothing, but Ginger Snaps seems like a good title for a horror movie. Okay, well, then we go on to number 146, which I don't know, never heard of it. 2014's Goodnight Mommy. So, I mean, what what are these movies? Are they any good? They're getting great scores, but I don't know or heard of them. At number, let's see here. How can maybe people would prefer if I went to something like this? And let's see here if I can do anything about it. Like such. I'm just trying to see if this would be any more interesting to you folks. Let's transition here a bit. So, would you prefer this? There we go. Julia's Eyes. This is, by the way, from Rotten Tomatoes, their list. So at number 145, Julia's Eyes from 2010. Don't know it. I mean, why do they call it Julia's Eyes? Eyes, plural, when one of them is covered. I don't know. It kind of seems like they're covered, but then there's a knife showing the... Oh, it's the eye of the killer. Okay. The closer she gets to solving her sister's death, a woman with a degenerative eye disease becomes increasingly something. Okay. At number 144, Sisters from 1973. Don't know it. I don't know if it's any good or not. Can't say. Then at 143, we have Cargo from the year 2017. So this is fairly recent. It's in the past 5 or 6 years, and I've never heard of it. And at 142, Slither from 2006. Made by James Gunn, so people might know this. I don't know the actors in this, but directed by James Gunn. So we know he went on to do bigger and better things after 2006 Slither. But apparently it's a low-budget horror film. It's creepy and funny, and you need to have the stomach for it. Hmm. Okay, on to the next one. 141. This, everybody's heard about this. Definitely. House on Haunted Hill, 1959. And really, Vincent Price stars in this. And he was really, really a beloved actor back in the day. He he had a way of just being creepy, just being the actor that he is, I guess. His voice is everything. I wish I had his voice to animate and to entertain you folks. I mean, my YouTube channel would probably blow up if I had that kind of voice, but who knows? But yeah, I seen it. I liked the movie, but for me, it wasn't very scary. But trying to figure out what's going on in the movie was pretty fun. Well executed, called classic, yes. Featuring a memorable performance from genre icon Vincent Price. Basically, come to the mansion and show up, survive a night, and win big monies if you can. So I liked it. I remember Vincent Price. I miss him. He was so good back in the day. On to this one. Now, this one is okay, maybe the first one that I need to mention here. At number 140, Poltergeist from 1982. Man, oh man, oh man. I was not scared of this movie, but everybody was talking about it. It was on everybody's lips. And even in the video game department, there was a video game about this movie. So it's like Indiana Jones, E.T. Back in these days, we were starting to make video games based on the movies, which is kind of funny because today we're making movies based on video games. I'm not even going to talk about The Last of Us, but a Resident Evil and all that stuff. But back in the day, we started making video games based on this movie. And although I was never scared from this movie, the scene where the girl puts her hand into the white noise static TV was so creepy. To this day, I remember that scene. It is phenomenal. It is iconic, to say the least. It's, I would say, to this day, one of my favorite horror movies. It's not, like I said, this is not like the scary movie, but if I had to go back to a classic from my childhood that everybody, all the kids in school, everybody was talking about, this would be it. As much as people like to talk about E.T. back in the day, people really like talking about Poltergeist. That scene with that little girl creeps me out, and I could even probably say that I had dreams and I had nightmares about it. And because of this movie, I you folks don't know this nowadays, but back in the day when the networks were going off air around midnight or 11 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning, they would turn to static. All it was these black and gray and white dots on the screen flickering. It was just noise, static noise. And because of it, I could never fall asleep. Because of this movie, I could never fall asleep on the white noise. I always would wake up, close the TV, because, yeah, we'd fall asleep on the TV, either on the couch or eventually in our rooms later on, because I always wasn't a child. But before the internet, before all of this, cable would go off air, antennas would go off air. Eventually, we got, yeah, it took a long time before I had a TV in my, well, actually, I had a black and white TV when I was young, but then later on, did not have a TV. So, no, I would not fall asleep, but falling asleep on the couch in the living room is something that happened. And when we got to the white noise static, it would wake me up and I'd have to turn it off just because of this movie here. I did not like it, did not enjoy it. Static noise would always creep me out. I don't believe in nothing, but it's, it was like I gotta turn it off, otherwise I'll turn into I'll go mad. I'll go insane. Hate hate the static, hate all of it just because of this movie. So hopefully you guys, you folks, women, men, whatever, enjoyed today's talk show. And I will see you in the next one. Oh, don't forget to mention in the comments if you prefer seeing what I'm talking about or you just want to listen to me talk. And we'll deal with it in the next one. Until then, be safe out there.